Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Martin and hopefully George, who is backstage, although I'm not sure if his sound is working. Testing, George, testing. Can you hear us? Can we hear you? No, he's still not about. He's still not about. Martin, great to have you on board for the Fans Forum. Sorry we are late, but hello to you all. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are well on the way to 5,000 subscribers. I want to stop saying that. I want to say on the road to 10,000. So like, subscribe, get your comments in. As we all know, Tuesday night is Fans Forum night. So we've got a few talking points, as always. We've also got a game to preview tomorrow in the Carabao Cup. But we want to get your questions in. We want to get your comments in as well. We're going to talk Emi Martinez again. We briefly mentioned it yesterday, but 2 Lev Yashin trophies in a row. We're going to talk about Manchester United and their spurious approach for Unai Emery and the pundits and the ex-Man United players thinking that they can get him. And we're going to talk Leon Bailey. Interesting comments from Leon Bailey, how he's not quite been on his best form. So we're going to talk all that. And as I say, get into the Crystal Palace game and get into your comments. I'm going to try and bring George in again. Are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Hey, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, dear.
What was it? Turn it off and back on
idea.
Again?
No idea, mate. It either works or it don't.
Right. So let's get started. Me and Martin talked about this a little bit yesterday, George, but I just think it's time to discuss it again. I mean, I didn't really know too much about the Ballon d'Or because it was completely dominated by the non-appearance of Vinicius Jr. because he hadn't won it, and I don't know, threw the toys out the pram. But I guess going under the radar was the fact that our goalkeeper has now won this best goalkeeper in the world title, the Lev Yashin Trophy, 2 years in a row. I mean, I don't know if any other goalkeepers have ever done this. I'm sure people in the comments will say, but this goalkeeper actually plays for our football club, has won 2 Copa Americas, has won a World Cup, has qualified for the Champions League. It's unbelievable. He plays for Aston Villa. Yeah,
it's pretty outrageous, isn't it, lads? To be fair, it's sort of, you can't quite believe that. Obviously, what you just said there, most of the accolades are at international level, and he's won. He's just won the World Cup, the biggest trophy in the world. As you say, a couple of Copa Americas. He's absolutely, he's heralded. He's been a big part of Argentina, suddenly, returning from the abyss because they were nowhere for a long time, were they? It was Brazil's and even the Colombias and teams like that were getting above Argentina. Then all of a sudden, Martinez has stepped there in the goal and they've gone flying up, and winning everything. Yeah, and it's amazing, and he's done great for Villa also, of course. Getting us into the Champions League for the first time last year. So yeah, absolutely congratulations to him, and very, very proud to say he plays for Aston Villa.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is interesting, isn't it, Martin, about what he's done for Argentina and what a contribution he's made. I know there's some of the montages they showed yesterday, the saves that he's made, that kind of save that's made famous now, the kind of Emi Martinez 1v1 save where he gets his leg down, and he's had such an impact. When they talk about Lionel Messi, who of course has had an unbelievable impact on Argentinian football, but I'm sure Messi said this a few times, that at the other end of the pitch, Emi Martinez has had an unbelievable impact on them winning their trophies over the last few years as well.
Yeah, I think a quote came from Messi that the reason Messi won the World Cup was because of Emi Martinez. Like, that just goes to show, if the best player of all time is saying that an Aston Villa player is the reason Messi has a World Cup trophy, it speaks volume about how much that we've, developed Emi Martinez ever since he's been in the club and everything else. And then I seen a tweet earlier of Emi Martinez saying, "My time will come," of him sitting on the football with the Arsenal kit on. And we took him off the graphs for only between 12 to 15 million pounds. And that's a bargain now when you look at it. Like, he's now a 2-time Aston Trophy winner. He's the first goalkeeper to do it 2 times in a row. Admittedly, I know the competition's only 5 years old, but
well, that's what I've just was going to put a comment on there.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So
but
to still do
it.
it, but to still do it at 2 years running is really impressive. And I think Arsenal fans are probably gushing about this because they think David Raya is the best thing since sliced bread. But unfortunately, Emi Martinez, who left them, they're all bitter over it, and long may this continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Gaza says it's never been done before. Mike says only the keeper twice. Yeah, definitely, but it's only been 2019. But I guess that makes it even more impressive because you'd think that they'd want to have some variety, but they can't ignore what Martinez has done. So yeah, absolutely. Alex says, "I love Emmy, but it's quite funny that he is the world's number one, but can't keep clean sheets in the league." Yeah, I would take that. However, he's got 10 players in front of him that will be contributing to that as well. More people coming into the chat, which is great. Would you now say, George? I think you've maybe mentioned this a couple of times, so this might be an easy answer for you, but best goalkeeper of Aston Villa's history now?
Yeah, I think you've got to say that now. Going back in my day, it was always Bosnich. I loved Bosnich, as many people as you, Rich, probably anyone of our generation would always say how good and special he was to us and made some great saves and was larger than life. But, we're now talking about a world champion, double Copa America winner. His stature is there, isn't it? All the penalty saves and the shithousery and all that. He's kind of he's a big character, isn't he? And yeah, of course, he has to go down. Definitely the best Villa keeper of my lifetime now, for sure.
Yeah. Agreeing with that, Martin?
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I mean, even when he got his first one, you kind of have to turn around and say he's the best goalkeeper that we've ever had, because if you told me the Villa of all would have a goalkeeper that would be going for this trophy, you would bite your hand off for it. So it's good to see. I would have said personally, before Emi Martinez obviously came to the club, I would have said Brad Friedel would have been the best keeper I've seen at Villa, because obviously I'm a different generation, 2 years old, so I would have went with Brad Friedel. But now the fact that he's got 2 Aston trophies, it's Emi Martinez is going to be the best goalkeeper, I think, in Aston Villa history in any lifetime to come. But like
Olsen's
I said, long may this continue. Who?
Olsen must be close.
Joe Gauchi.
Well, he could be on his way to Malmo if rumours are to be believed. So we could be seeing the last of Robin Olsen. We shall wait and see. A few comments coming in. Weston said, yes, Messi has said he owes everything he has won internationally wise to Emi Martinez. Michael said Emi should trademark his body shape of those famous saves like Michael Jordan. Adamski says Emi Martinez might end up being Villa's greatest ever. Absolute superstar. And Michael said, I love Jimmy Rimmer, but Emi is the best keeper to wear the Villa shirt. Alex says, presume Emi isn't playing versus Palace. Well, we'll see on our predicted lineup that Martin's done anyway. We'll see. But I doubt it. Sai says, all we need now is for Emi going up for a corner and scoring like Schmeichel did. That would be unbelievable, wouldn't it? If he managed to score a goal, like that would be true Emi Martinez
running off doing that celebration. When he got in trouble,
shushing the crowd or something, or like grabbing the ball and starting to do that move. Yeah, that would be unreal. Gaza asked a question earlier, about kind of how do we keep hold of Emi Martinez? Like, do you see? We mentioned this yesterday, myself and Martin, about the kind of loyalty that he's shown to Aston Villa for giving him that opportunity in the Premier League. He's gone on this journey, if you like, through up the Premier League and now into the Champions League and into Europe. But it will be. I'm sure there have been big clubs that have circled and have asked the question, but it kind of gets more and more to the forefront. The better he plays. As goalkeepers get older, Bayern Munich's keeper is getting older. That kind of stuff. Do you see a potential few bids coming in, George?
I don't know. I mean, you could have said that for the last 3-4 years, and nothing's happened, has it? Villa have done all we can do as a club. He's had a new contract near enough every season. His status has gone up. Villa's performances have gone up. We've given him first Conference League football, now Champions League football. As far as Villa are concerned, he seems happy. He's loved, he's appreciated, he's respected by his manager and all that. Obviously, a player like that, he's probably, if a Real Madrid or Barcelona, which we've always had the fear, haven't we, that maybe one day they'll look at him and think, yeah, we like a bit of you, but it hasn't happened yet. So I don't know. But in this country, you still speak to most football fans, and they don't appreciate him like we do. They still wouldn't have him as the best Premier League keeper, let alone world's best keeper. And if that's what they think, then don't worry about it. Yeah, our keeper's shit. Yeah, whatever. We'll keep him.
Yeah. I mean, Martin, before kind of explore that a little bit, before kind of moving on, do you see bids coming? I mean, Rachel said there'll always be bids for him. It's whether he wants to move or not. Do you think there'll come a time where he might consider moving on? If we don't promise a trophy or something like that, as Alex says.
It is always a big factor for a player to want to win trophies at a club, and it's always something that keeps them around. But to be honest with you, I don't really see him leaving anywhere, because we have to remember that he was a man of his word that he wanted to play in Europe with Aston Villa. He wants to win something with Aston Villa. So I think he's going to be here until he wins something. And if we do win something, then it's a case of, has he fulfilled what he wanted with Aston Villa and then leave? But I think it doesn't matter what we win, he'll be hungry for more trophies with Aston Villa. So I don't think he'll leave. I think the thing what will happen is in the summer that he'll look for a new contract. So these are my performances. I'm a 2-time Yashin Trophy winner. He'll probably feel like he wants to be the highest paid player. Has a good argument for it. I know George is not really big on wages, so he's not to talk to him at all. But I just think that if anything was going to happen in the summer, I can see a new contract for Emi Martinez to really keep him around in this club for the long haul.
Only thing is, though, lads, this might be a tad controversial, but would we be rewarding him for playing really well for Argentina? Because, as you said, he's a great player for us, but we can see a lot of goals, and I wouldn't say he's better now than he was a year and a half ago. So does he deserve another new deal? Do you know what I mean? Just to play devil's advocate there.
Yeah, but you have to remember, George, it's
big moments now, isn't it, for Emi? Yeah. Like so many, like you look at the Bayern Munich game. There's no way we win that game without him. There's no way. And there's other big. Yes, he's always going to concede goals. Yes, there's times where he can be maybe caught slightly out of position, or some of the longer shots he doesn't maybe get down as quick. But you talk about the amount of points he won for us last season.
Yeah,
like he's going to do that again this season. He will 100% do that again this season. And if you think, like I said, the Bayern Munich game, I'm trying to think other big saves he's made even this season. It's crazy, like especially when players go through 1v1. I mean, what was the penalty against Fulham? It's a terrible penalty, but he's almost saved the penalty before the player's even taken it. And that kind of like aura that he's got now is crazy. So yeah, I do think he's a massive part and a massive leader in what we do. Whether I'm not sure about him. I know he's very, very experienced, and John McGinn's the captain, but I probably wouldn't have him as the captain. I'm not sure I have like goalkeepers, not because of his influence. I think he has an influence regardless. I just think captain should be out in an outfield player. But yeah, that's it's an interesting point though, George. It is.
Yeah, that's not me slating him. I love him as much as everyone.
Yeah. But he's just fat. He's just fantastic. And I just think it's surreal a little bit to have like goalkeeper that's won this award twice in a row, and he plays for Aston Villa. Well, that leads into that point that George made before, Martin, about, he's probably not regarded as, he probably is a little bit more now as probably the third best, I would say, or maybe fourth best in the Premier League. But you're still talking Alisson. They all say he's number one. Ederson's number two. Then people say Raya, and then potentially conversations had about Martinez. Why would you say that is? Is it just because he plays for Aston Villa, or is there more to it?
I think it's a PR thing. I think he's the second best keeper in the Premier League. You could argue that he probably is the best, in my opinion. I think Alisson is undisputed number one in the Premier League, and I think he kind of gets overlooked with the fact that his accomplishment in the Brazilian national team is not great because they're always swapping between him and Ederson. So there's always that conflict in that Brazilian team at this minute. Ederson's shot stopping is not exactly great. He just suits the way the City play because he can play with his feet. He can play as a sweeping goalkeeper because that's how Man City like to play. But he's not really a great shot stopper, if you know what I mean. He does leak goals as well. And I think Ortega's a better shot stopper than him. But with the way that Man City play, he's suited to that game. And I don't think any other keeper in the Premier League, maybe apart from Alisson and Martinez and Raya, would go into City. With Raya, I just think that, yes, he's playing well at the minute. But if you're talking about the performances of last season, which this Aston Trophy was based on, never even mind like international stuff. If you're talking stuff in the Premier League, Raya had the best defense in front of him, right? Because you have to remember, I only caught that there with Adamski, fair play. You have to remember, you can only be as well as what's in front of you because the goalkeeper is the last line of defense. So with Raya, his job's a little bit easier. Arsenal like to, yes, they do like to play a high line, but when they sit deep, they've nearly got like 6-8 players sitting deep. So it's kind of a little bit easier for Raya to keep all these clean sheets and put in good performances. Where for Martinez last year, it was so much harder to put in good performances because we were playing such a high line. You've seen with the stats that we kept teams offside the most. So it was that little bit harder for Martinez because he was nearly getting exposed with one-on-one situations nearly every week because you have to wait for the offside flag and everything else. And he was still putting off these saves as a good shot stopper. If you ask Ederson to do these shot stopping in these 1v1 situations if Man City was playing this high line, I think he leaks a lot of goals. Alisson had bailed them out. Raya probably would bail them out, but not as much as Emi Martinez and an Alisson. So I think Emi Martinez, in my opinion, is very close to the best goalkeeper in the Premier League, but Alisson just tips it. And yes, Adamski, you're right. It's undisputed that Alisson is a girl's name, but because it's a surname and he's Brazilian, we're still saying he probably is the best goalkeeper. But I just think that Emi Martinez is closer to Alisson than the rest of the goalkeepers in the Premier League.
Yeah. No, it's fair. Just before we move on, I've got I know it's fans forum, so it can go random. It can go anywhere we want. Saye VFC was said he loved when Buendia and then Duran gave the boys a hand with the prize where it lies. I don't know if you've seen the footage of that on Match of the Day and a few on the Aston Villa site. It was great. But going before that, David James got booed off at half time. He went berserk in saving a kid's shot.
I think because I seen that the fans were asking him to save it, and he shouted over them, "What, save it?" He goes, "Yeah, save it," and he saved 2 in a row. So I think he got booed off by some, but I think he made a few boys happy about it. So I think he was only trying to please some people, and he didn't really care. But it's good. It's good content and entertainment and banter. So.
Yeah, I did see the saves. Pretty good saves because the kids put him right in the corner, and he went.
He's that sort of character, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't surprise me to do that.
You have to love us sometimes. I think you're just playing the villain.
It's like the competitive dad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like not today, son. You're not old enough just yet.
Yeah.
You're not embarrassing me in front of all these people.
No chance.
Or like the son just said to him, "Dad, you're really like the dad, like the son just went, Dad, you're really bad in goals," and then all of a sudden just saves everything and kicks the ball away.
I once scored a penalty against Peter Shilton. He was about about 65, like, but I still scored past him. Random
How
story.
old are you, Rich? How old are you, Rich? About 8?
No, I was about 30.
Oh.
It was like some corporate thing. Like I was football coaching, and Pete Shilton was there with us, so we were just like, it was on people's lunch break. They could take a penalty against Peter Shilton, and it was very random. And we were doing like the kids I was coaching were doing football skills and stuff like that. So it's very random, but yeah, there we go. Little pointless story there. Scored a penalty against Peter Shilton. So yeah, I ran around took my top off and ran around celebrating, you know. But
should have given him some in the goal.
Yeah. I was like,
And then the staff all shouted, "Put it back on! Put it back on!"
Yeah, exactly. Now, in the news, the last couple of days has been Erik Ten Hag obviously getting the old tin tack, and as predictably as usual, all the usual pundits have probably been saying it for the last probably 3 or 4 months, particularly Goldstein on TalkSport. You know, oh well, if United come calling, Unai Emery will just come walking through to Old Trafford. There's no doubt he wouldn't turn them down. Then we get obviously Unai signing a contract, which was a massive kick in the teeth for them. Ten Hag gets sacked, and Paul Scholes comes out and mentions Unai Emery straight away, and there's other people saying break the bank for him and all this, and it just smacks, doesn't it, George, of that kind of arrogance of Manchester United. Now, yes, they are a huge club, but and it may be that they could go into a negotiation. It turns out that they're looking like they're going to get Ruben Amorim now, but it's just that kind of persona that they've got, that they just think they could just step in and a manager would just automatically want to go to Manchester United. I think that gets on people's nerves.
Well, it does piss people off, but at the same time, it's really to be it's that attitude has been to Man United's detriment ever since Ferguson left. I think they've just been floating on this. We're Man United. We do it. We can do it our way. Ever since Ferguson left, and look at them now. They're absolutely been left in their wake by they're not even like the biggest club in their city anymore, are they? They're getting absolutely embarrassed by another team in Manchester. For too long, it was like, oh, we're Man United. We've got the class of '92. We can buy who we want. Back in the '90s, back in the noughties, that's exactly what they did. Any challenger to Man United, they would just go out and nick your best player. They did it to us, didn't they? Did it to Blackburn. They've all the challenges around. Everton had a go, start nicking their players. This is how United did it. Ferguson was a bully to the media, a bully to the other managers. You know, the FA absolutely bowed to him, anything he ever wanted. And I think that attitude that was part of the culture at Man United. You know, all that never losing a penalty at Old Trafford and stuff. All that sort of thing just led into that culture at Man United, and they got complacent. You know, and you know, fast forward 10, 15 years, teams have gone flying past them. And unfortunately, pundits like Scholes and all that class of '92, do you know who they remind me of? They remind me of the Liverpool players of the '80s, how they were in the '90s when Liverpool fell off and it was Man United then. And they just couldn't get it into their head that the club that they played for, it's not like that anymore. Things have moved on. I just think it's just a bit of lazy punditry. You know, of course Emery will leave Villa, you know, not thinking about all the things that Emery's got, you know, that he's picked his own director of football, head of recruitment, everything is tailored to Emery. Whereas at Man United, they've just put in a whole new, what would you call it, structure behind the scenes with people that Emery wouldn't even know. You know, if you worth your onions, you know really that there's probably no chance that Emery would go there, and that was a non-starter. All the United fans are looking at is, oh, Villa are doing well, we'll have him, and that's as far as it goes. And you know, luckily it's never got to that, and they've, you know, good luck with Amorim or whatever. Just keep your hands off our manager.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, isn't it, Martin? It is lazy, and we talked about this whole thing about, you know, how they mentioned about Aston Villa at the start of the season, and that usual kind of stereotype, or the lazy kind of like opinion of, oh, they'll struggle with the Champions League and they'll struggle to balance it up. And and all that kind of stuff. And that may well be the case, but it wasn't based on any research that they'd done. It was just based on the fact that, Newcastle struggled last season. So that means that any other team that gets into the Champions League for the first time in the new format will just automatically struggle. That's kind of how they thought it. And this is exactly the same thing. It's like George said, it's like, well, Man United, big club, sack their manager. Anyone else would be stupid not to want to go to Man United. So we'll just take the best manager from the rest of the clubs, which is Unai Emery. And that's kind of the opinion that they had. It's not based on anything. And if they'd have looked into it and looked at the fact that the whole structure's built around Unai Emery, the type of football clubs that he generally goes to, yes, he went to Paris Saint-Germain, but he likes to build something. He likes to feel an important part of something. The fit at Manchester United just wouldn't work with Unai Emery the way that he is.
Yeah, I'm just going to paint a picture here, right, from the very beginning when Ten Hag was appointed. Obviously, there was this emphasis of bringing in this young manager that they wanted to try a different style of football, and that just hasn't worked. They've gone downhill, right? And ever since Emery came to Villa, this is what this whole thing was about. Since Emery came to Villa, Ten Hag has spent 615 million, where Emery has spent 131. He's done it with a lot less money. He's done it with a smaller budget as opposed to Man United. Regardless of where they are, they'll always have a bigger budget than us, right? That is a given. But Ten Hag has not made that work, right? He has not made that work one bit, and they went backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards. And I said it when Man United won the FA Cup. It's not the FA Cup win that United fans thought it was, that it was going to bring them back to, challenging for top four. And then Man United interviewed 8 different managers in the summer. If that says to you that Ten Hag's not the man, I don't know what is. So there was this thing that, they gave him a new contract of another year deal. That just put the writing on the wall for Ten Hag. So it kind of felt like Man United have bottled that decision to sack him then and bringing in a manager in the summer, as opposed to spending another £200 million in the summer gone on the likes of Xerxes, Ugarte, De Ligt, Mazraoui. I think there was another player or two there somewhere. And then they brought these players in, and it still went downhill. Like the game against Villa, right? We probably should have bet them, but they still played Maguire and Evans and centre back ahead of a Martinez and a De Ligt.
That's the decision they made all season, that was.
Exactly. And that kind of goes to show that Ten Hag didn't know what his best team was. And he was always doing this emphasis of injuries don't really help us, blah, 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 blah. That's not the problem. Villa had injuries after January, and we still scraped top 4. That just goes to show that. And then with Emery, obviously, this link to Man United, it's lazy journalism. It's lazy punditry. And then I was watching TalkSport this morning, and they were like, I would have broke the bank to get Unai Emery. He would have done a great job. Now, let's get something straight here. If there's anybody United fans here that are watching, and obviously everyone who's a diehard Villa fan here watching, Unai Emery has the keys at Aston Villa, right? He has the key. He was given the key by our owners to say, do what you want. He rejected Newcastle because he wasn't going to get his way to do what he wants. He rejected loads of different clubs. Villa spoke to him. And guess what? We gave him the keys. We trusted him. He brought in his own board manager. Not board members. His own sporting director. He brought in own technical staff. Probably brought in his own scouts, own management team. He kept some people there to do a job because he didn't want to put people out of a job. But at the same time, he brought in his own people, right? From top to bottom. And that's what he done. And now there's this philosophy of Emery that he doesn't stop working. Like we seen there when the season was finished, they were in the meeting room straight away with players of interest in that little calendar that they had. So it goes to show the man doesn't stop working. So if he was to leave Villa to go to Man United, like George said, he's going somewhere that, yes, they've changed their board, and it'd be great for any manager to probably go into now because they're changing boards and whatever. But it still feels like to previous owners with the Glazers, that any manager going in there is going to have one hand behind their back, because it just feels like that their owners want control, to say, of the transfers and everything else. And that's always been the case, because it was said on The Athletic that Ten Hag kept getting his third choice signings rather than his first choices. So that emphasis feel like it's going to continue, because when you've Dan Ashworth, who's your sporting director of Manchester United at the minute, he wants a say in who he wants to bring in, because he had that say at Brighton, he had that say at Newcastle, and now he's got to say again at Manchester United. So any manager going in there, it's just going to be given players and they have to play with them. That's it.
This is the
And then
modern way,
maybe
then,
this
Martin. Most clubs do this.
Yeah, most clubs do this now, but it can work to some ways that maybe younger coaches.
I actually think that they'll, with Amorim, I think they'll have given him assurances that he will have his own way. I think I mentioned this yesterday
if he has his own way, great. That is probably going to be good for him, and it would be good for Manchester United fans. But it just feels like, even regardless of what's happening, like previous owners, I still feel like he's going to have.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I still believe that.
Yeah,
and that's going to continue for so long. So I just think that for Emery to go to Villa or to Man United, it won't work. It's not a gimme. Like, it's not going to be because he's doing so well here, it should transpire into Manchester United. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, it won't work, because they thought that that's what they were getting with Ten Hag. You bang on, and the risk is that they think that they're going to get this new brand of football, this new identity with Ruben Amorim. And look, it may well turn out to be like that, but the chances are that the fans will get disgruntled if they don't get the results that they want. They'll probably give him this season, and then they'll be, like you said, the signings won't be quite what they want. They'll still be trying to get rid of Deadwood. They'll still be relying on Harry Maguire at the back. And that's the point. What I mentioned on the podcast I was on yesterday with the Loaded Mag and Dan, big Man United fan, was I think they've actually looked at Unai Emery and what Unai Emery's done at Aston Villa and thought, that's what we need. That's what we need to do. We need to bring in a manager that has a philosophy that will bring in his own people and will kind of do everything from top to bottom. And it may be that he works with Dan Ashworth, but he's got them over a barrel. He can literally say, like, they're paying the 10 million euros compensation, they're paying him an absolutely huge salary, but he can say, look, I don't want to work with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I want to bring my own people in. I don't want to have
sure about that, Rich.
People.
I think
he could.
I reckon, but they've just put all these lads in, haven't they? I think they just want a top quality coach. I think they're into themselves.
I honestly think
Ashworth,
that he will have had certain. I think he'll have had certain insurances. Those guys will be there, but I think in terms of the others, I think he'll bring his own people in. But anyway, a few comments coming in. They can, regardless of that, they can stay clear of Unai Emery. But I do think they've learned and they've looked at Villa and thought, that's the model. That's the model to go for. Sai obviously said the clown Goldstein started it. Kevin said Goldstein super desperate to get Emery to United. Utter disgrace. Adamski says arrogance times desperation equals Man United 2024. PJJ said that, George, is exactly why they are in the mess they are in. Paul Scholes is another one of they seem to think it's Fergie in charge, deluded fools.
Just on Scholes, sorry, just before you go to the next comment, just on Scholes, remember the overlap where like a hot take was made by Man City fan that I think Aston Villa are going to struggle this year, and Paul Scholes straight away said that's a good show. Look what happened. Look what's happened.
Flange 0027 says even my Blues nose mates recognise Unai is going nowhere. Manu still feel entitled. So look, that's enough chat about Manchester United. But they can definitely keep their hands off our Unai. Any more comments here? Dristos said a really good manager can make the players better. Look at Emery. Most of the players were looking bad under Gerrard, but with Emery, they play miles better. Absolutely. The next little topic I wanted to talk about, I don't think we've got a picture of him on here, but Leon Bailey made some interesting comments. I don't know if you boys read them in the press today. I think he had an interview with John Townley. But basically, he admitted that he's been really off form this season, and just kind of talked about the fact that he really needs to work his way back through it, and it's only by sort of working hard that you get through it. And I guess from our perspective, we've had quite a lot of debates on in our group about Leon Bailey and what he's contributing and what he's not and what might be wrong with him. But is it interesting that he's kind of acknowledged, George, that he's not been in good form? And do you see that acknowledgement as an encouraging sign that he wants to kind of work his way out of it?
That's the first I've heard of it, to be fair, mate. But yeah, you can. Bailey's one of them. You can see what he's thinking. He's got one of them faces that tells all, isn't he, when he's on the pitch? You can look at him and think he's feeling good today. He's going to take the piss today. But at the same time, you can see when it's not going his way. He's got that sulky face on. You can see the confidence draining out of him at times. I think that's what it is. He looks like he's just not quite feeling it at the moment. Not quite feeling himself. Just needs a goal, or I know he got an assist the other day, didn't he? Just needs to start getting going again. He'll be all right. I'm convinced about that. But yeah, if he wants to come out and speak to the press, there's nothing wrong with that. Being open and honest, everyone can see what's happening. He still looks happy at the club, so it was only 3-4 months ago he was tearing it up. So we're only a few months into the season, and even carrying him as we are at the moment, we're still doing pretty well. So a return to form for Bailey is only gonna it can only be positive for us, can't it?
Exactly. Rachel said, fair play to Leon for that, acknowledging he needs to be and do better. That's Emery's mindset coming through. Aurelio Gomez said that shows a good attitude from Leon. No excuses. PJJ said, yeah, he admitted in a recent interview he's way off his best. Sai said he knows he's not been great, but when he came on Saturday, a clever assist with the cushion header for Barkley. And Michael said Bailey's honesty is refreshing. He knows he has to work. And Flange said, feel like he's trying too hard. David said, Bailey, if not performing, he makes the bench strong still. Yeah, and Kev said he needs a goal, like you said, George. With regards to it, Martin, do you think, like George has said there, it's very easy, very early in the season, and he will have his time to come through. And he talked about kind of just working hard, just continuing to work. And we've had this, debate the other day about him being quite a rhythm player, and he likes to take the ball in his stride. And when it's not quite happening for him, that's where he can look like he's, tripping over the ball, or look like he's not quite running as fast as he can. But he will soon have his time. We're only 9 games into the league season, still 29 games or whatever to go, and he's still, we're in the Champions League. There's still plenty of time for Leon Bailey to get back to form and fitness.
Yeah, look, I think that him getting dropped there the weekend against Bournemouth was probably the best thing for him. Not in terms of that he's performing badly or anything like that. He has, in fairness, had a few poor games, but by his standards. But I think that was a good thing to happen to him. It made him hungry. It made him realize that I don't want to be sitting on this bench. I want to make sure that he's on that starting 11, playing every week. And then when he came on against Bournemouth and got himself a nice assist, that probably would have done him the world of good. Just a good little bit of confidence to show that he can still perform for Aston Villa. And I like the fact that he went onto the press, because this is the first I've heard of it as well, just like George said, that he's acknowledging that he's not performing good enough. He's showing the maturity to say that, look, I'm not performing good enough, and I'm trying hard to work to perform good. Yes, we do have to remember we are only early days in the league. It's only 9 games into the Premier League, and of course we had our 3 games in the Champions League and the League Cup. But it's still early days, Wingers are loved and hated at the same time. They have a great run of games where they're unplayable. They're one of the best players you'll ever see, and then the next few weeks and they're just dead wood. That's just the way wingers are. There's no in between with them. So I do believe Bailey will come good again. But like I said in previous times, it shouldn't be for a fact that we have to sign somebody to give him that little bit of a push, like with a Matson and a Dini at this minute. So it shouldn't be that case, but I do believe Bailey will come good again and will start performing. It's just a matter of time. Maybe that assist against Bournemouth is the push that he needs.
Yeah. Just to finish up on this, George, do you think that teams are maybe more wary of Leon Bailey? Do you think they're maybe doubling up on him a little bit, leaving one in on him a little bit as well. And has his role slightly changed? I've seen on X a few people kind of who look at certain players and how they're operating now. Do you think his role has maybe changed a little bit with the departure of Moussa Diaby and with the emergence of Morgan Rogers playing just off of Ollie Watkins? Do you think he's maybe not drifting in as much as he was? He's being kept out wide, and then it's easier to maybe double up on him.
Yeah, quite possibly. Also, the fact that we've gone down the left a lot, haven't we? And sort of we've been using that side hell of a lot this season. Yeah. And that's maybe a good point with Rodgers, because it was more like Bailey was kind of off Watkins quite a bit last year, wasn't he? And now Rodgers is maybe doing that role a bit more, and it's kind of leaving Bailey kind of lost over on the right. I wouldn't say I've seen teams double up on him, but he is getting a lot of knocks, isn't he? Like he's on the floor a hell of a lot. So maybe teams are sort of targeting him and just thinking, we'll have a little kick out at Leon Bailey. He's a bit soft, and he's getting quite a few of them this year, isn't he? Doesn't look very happy, does he? He's sort of reminding me of the amount of kicks he's getting these days. But
it used to be like the first 10, 15 minutes, he would almost catch teams, unaware. And he seems to be trying to build his way into games and then maybe finish them a little bit stronger. But then he's coming off on like 65 minutes if he's starting a game. So I feel like he kind of needs to just get back to that original Leon Bailey and just be right out the gates for the first 15, 20 minutes, get an assist, and then he's got the defender on the back foot a little bit more then. But yeah, I'm sure
he hasn't got much relationship though with the fullback, has he? Whereas on the left side, like Digne and Ramsey or Digne and Rodgers, they all seem a bit more in line. But I guess maybe you think you've had the Djokovic has played, the young what's the young kid? Bogart's played, Konza's played, Cash has played. So maybe that's something to do with it as well. He's not got that right relationship with the player behind him.
That fullback definitely doesn't overlap. They leave Bailey to try and go 1v1, but then sometimes the lack of the overlap means that he's going to automatically have two players that are marking him because they know that they're not going to have someone to run onto. So it automatically means he's going to have to pass it backwards, or he's going to have to try and beat two players. So it does make it a little bit more difficult. What I've noticed when he was playing up with Duran, he was the one who was playing off of Duran and trying to get behind him onto the flick-ons. So that might be something they're trying to develop with. If Duran starts, then Bailey gets in behind him and tries to get on the end of flick-on. So look, all things will come through. Kevin said he'll come good. I've no doubts about it. Class is permanent. PJJ says definitely, guys, he will come through. Sai says Robinson did keep kicking him at Fulham. Scotty says that he's into season 4 now, so he expects more from him.
And the thing is, he's only been one good season in 4 as well. We do have to remember that.
Yeah, I mean, he has had injuries though as well. To be fair to him, but yeah, absolutely. Kevin said, I don't think Bailey's 100% fit. It's that simple. David said double up means Rodgers is free, which is winner. Yeah, and look, Rodgers might get the treatment later on in the season where teams will double up on him, and that means Leon Bailey might get the space. So it's all swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Michael said, good point, George. We do need to sort out our right side in defence, which I think we've talked a lot about that right hand side of defence, so maybe we'll leave that for a night. Guys, make sure you do smash that like button. We are almost at 200 people in the chat on X and on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, please do like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And if you're on X, follow us at Villa Park Pod, at Marto Leonardo, and at Fowler Legend. And obviously hit the retweet button, hit the like button as well on X to help us get more people watching and contributing. So, Martin, tomorrow we have the small matter of a last 16 tie in the Carabao Cup at home to Crystal Palace. We touched on this yesterday around, an opportunity for some of the more fringe players, I would say, although some of them will be pushing for first team positions. Before we get your starting lineup, it is a massive opportunity, isn't it? We could see the return of Tyrone Mings, Boubacar Kamara getting more minutes. Ian Maatsen, you've put a chance to cement his place. We could be seeing Costa Nedeljkovic. Great opportunity for some of the players to have some minutes and win a game to get us through to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, exactly. You know, this is a great chance. You know, it's just the first bit of silverware of the season when the final comes around in February. So I think this is a great chance for us to get something in the board. Like if you look at all the great teams with the managers that have ever started, the first thing they won was the League Cup. Because I touched on it last night that once we win one, I think the rest will follow. You know, because that's just always been the way for great teams. Once they win one trophy, the rest just follows because you've had the experience now of winning a trophy, how you see out games. So I think that this, I know people will say they don't really care about the Carabao Cup and anything else when you lose it, but I just think that this is a great chance to win one. And I just think we should take it with both arms. It's just to say that we have a trophy now, regardless of what it is, we have a trophy. And if we win it, we can look at whatever competition we're in after that and say, right, let's win another one. Because then you're hungrier to win more trophies. And that's something that we should really focus on. Like we should focus on all four competitions. Absolutely. There's no reason why we can't. We have a big squad. We've seen the bench and we're all excited by it. It looks like prime Brazil 2002. Like it was just it's just fantastic to look at. So I think why not try and challenge for all four competitions, regardless whether you win them or not. If we get to far enough places in these competitions, I think that we've had a really successful season again.
Mm. George, obviously, Unai's talked about utilising this as a chance to use some of the more, squad players, maybe some of the young players as well. Used a very changed team against Wycombe, and then he's kind of said, we'll get to the quarterfinals. I think Si's mentioned you win tomorrow, and we're only 2 games away from a final. He might then start utilising some of the big players, so to speak. But even like a second string side, I've mentioned these names: Boubacar Kamara, Tyrone Mings, Emi Buendia, Costa Nedeljkovic, Ian Maatsen. There's some ridiculous players there, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly what Martin just said. We've got a good squad now. The only problem is, it's when you do this, and we've done this a lot over the years. I know we have not with the level of quality we've got now, but when you put 11 players on there that are not used to playing together, you usually end up getting a bit of a mismatch of a performance. And over the years, it's generally not, especially if you've got Mr. Olsen in goal. Not that I'm trying to keep picking on him, but it tends to go wrong, doesn't it, in that scenario? So I wouldn't, if we are going to go for it, I wouldn't be changing everyone. If I agree, Mings needs to come in and get a game. Kamara, obviously. But, I'd still have a couple of constants there. I don't know, like a Konza maybe, or a Rodgers or whatever. But I'd say Tielemans needs a rest. He's played every game so far, hasn't he? But yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? I think you're all right in the cup. It's just if you get the luck of the draw, everyone says every year, "Oh, we're going for it this year." Everyone's going for it until they get Man City away, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just how it goes. If it starts going your way and you start getting results, bit fortunate, a couple of home draws, you can find yourself in a semi-final, and then it's all up for grabs then, and you got to go for it.
Yeah. Rachel says you can see heavy rotation in the side, which I absolutely agree. And would you suggest any of the young players playing? The Ben Broggio, Caden Young, Sil Swinkles, that kind of thing. Before I get your predicted lineup up, Martin. But George, do you see any of those younger players coming in? There's a few that played in the last round.
I'm not sure they'll do that this time because obviously it was Wycombe. No disrespect to them, but you're playing a Premier League side now. That, as I said a few weeks ago, he's come out and said he was going for this cut. He's going to play full strength side, but then again, they've not had a great start in the league. So maybe when it actually push comes to the shove, he might bottle it and think, you know what, we need to stay in the Premier League. I know they got a win against Spurs at the weekend, didn't they? But I think it's a Premier League team. You've got to kind of respect it. Maybe have a couple of the youngins on the bench, and if it's going well, bring them on. But I don't think you'll see the same level of side that we played against Wycombe, no.
Yeah, I agree. So, Martin, your predicted lineup. Talk us through what you're saying with this one.
Yeah, I think starting off from the back, obviously, with Joe Gauchi. I think he actually put in a really good performance against Wickham especially in those last 10 minutes when they were really pressuring us. He kept everyone at bay apart from the last minute, which unfortunately a mistake from Swinkles happened. But I thought he done really well. He was coming for every single ball, even in a lot of edge of the places in the edge of the box. He was still coming for him. So I have to say fair play. I think Nadal Djokovic will get himself a game. I think Bogar will play centre half. And then obviously, this man needs no introduction. Tyrone Mings. And I think he's going to have the captain's armbands on for this game as an occasion that he's back. I think Ian Maatsen will definitely get a start now this time around. And I think this will be a really good chance for him to try and cement his place because he had a great game against Bologna. I know we didn't start the game against Bournemouth, but maybe this is the game now where Emery's probably thinking this is the chance for you to cement. I think Kamara and Barkley will start together. I think they'll really complement each other. Obviously, with Kamara doing the sweeping, Barkley can play a little bit more advanced, try to dictate the play. I think Philogene and Ramsey out wide is a real threat. I think this is a game now for Philogene to really show us what attack and output he has, because he's really played against games where he's putting a lot of defensive work, which, of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I do think that now this is a great game for him. What attack and output can he deliver? What chances can he create? Can he get an assist? Can he get himself a goal? I think Ramsey will have his usual game where I think he'll bring the ball up the high areas of the pitch, try to catch fouls and, really deliver from set pieces. And then I think Emi Buendia is going to get a start to rest Morgan Rogers for the fact that Morgan Rogers played a lot of games. He needs a rest now. And then Duran, he's our second choice striker this minute, but he's still scoring goals as well. So I think all in all with that team, I think it's a really good team to try and win a game against a Premier League side. Now, will we win one? Will there be a few introductions with younger players or anything like that? I think they'll come off the bench, but I don't think they'll start. I think Bogar will be the only one for the fact that he's had the experience in the first few Premier League games and, of course, in the game against Wickham in the first round that we played. So I think all in all, he'll be the only young player to get a start. The rest, I think, will flow from the bench, and I think there'll be 2 or 3 experienced players on the bench as well.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad team at all. But any changes that you might make to that, George? Anything jumping out to you that you might expect Emery to do something slightly different?
I don't think that's far off, but I'm pretty convinced Diego Carlos will play rather than Bogard. Other than that doesn't look too bad at all, does it? And that does literally tell us what we're saying about that strength in depth. And I fully agree with what you said about Philogene there, Mark. He's had a couple of really good games, but he looks very, I don't know whether it's hesitant in trying to take on a man or whether he's been told to dig in and graft and leave it to the other side to do the attacking. But yeah, I think some of the highlight reels from his time at Hull, he was pulling all sorts of tricks out of the locker. So it'd be everything. Nice to see a bit of that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Rabone is in the edge of the box, scoring them, getting assists with them, and everything else. It'd be nice to see that in this game.
I'd love him to get a goal. Yeah,
and that he might be a little bit shy. It's all right doing that at Hull, isn't it? Maybe he's not quite. Doesn't quite feel at home yet.
Alex says Gauchi, Costa, Carlos, Mings, Maatsen, Kamara. He's going for Tielemans in there. Bailey, Ramsey, Buendia, Duran. I do think Tielemans will rest. Kevin said the priority should be your next game, which is Palace. No youngsters tomorrow. PJJ thinks Mings and Kamara will still be on the bench, to be fair. Weston said it's a low priority, but most realistic domestic cup to win. The League Cup's a balancing act, isn't it? Until you get to the semi-finals. Exactly. Gary said put the young lads on the bench for sure, but not in the starting lineup. And Flange says, I love the look of this team, but can't see him starting. Mings would love it though. Saye VFC said, I'd like to see Broggio of all the kids. He's direct, something we don't have. And James said we should be playing to win every game now. It doesn't matter what competition. Absolutely. Aurelio Gomez said, I'd love to see Mings run out on that pitch. Gary said we aren't a team that can win the big trophies yet, so he thinks this is one that we should be going for. So it's going to be a good game. I mean, we chatted about this a little bit yesterday, Martin, but Crystal Palace, I think George has touched on it a little bit, how they approach it can be interesting, because we looked at their squad. It's obviously not the quality that we have in terms of being able to bring certain players in. They've got a few players that were on the bench the other day that I'm expecting will play, like Nketiah and one or two others. But would that, do you see the likes of Eberici Eze playing? Do you see the likes of Adam Wharton playing? You know, they aren't in European football, so most of the weeks they're playing one game a week. So the fatigue and stuff shouldn't be in there. But do you see then thinking, right, we've got, I think it's Wolves on the weekend, can't afford to get any of our big players injured, so we need to kind of rest them and not play them in this game. How do you think that Glasner will approach it?
I think Glasner will approach it with I think the emphasis was, when I was talking to Nate from Eagle Eyed Football, but they want to play a strong team every time now in the Carabao Cup, because they want to take this cup seriously. It's a chance to even try and get themselves European football, which is absolutely nothing wrong with that if that's their realistic expectation. Palace fans, their old cliche is, if we expect nothing, we can never be disappointed. So we were like that as well for so many years. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. At the same time, they've got a 6-pointer against Wolves. Wolves, of course, hasn't won a game yet. Palace has come off a great win. How are you, CC? Have come off a great win against Spurs on the weekend. So they're probably thinking of this one like, right, like you said, probably need to rest some players. There's a great chance for us to beat Wolves and get ourselves in a good run of form after having a messy few weeks. Because if you beat Spurs and you beat Wolves, they're looking really confident then all of a sudden and getting themselves a good run of results. So they're probably thinking their priority now has changed a little bit to stay in the Premier League, because up to before the Spurs game, there was 4 teams in the Premier League that haven't won a game in the bottom 4. And now, obviously, the bottom 3 at this minute haven't won a game. So I think it'd be Palace' objective this year is now to stay in the Premier League. And that's something Palace fans have every right to give out, really, after the end of the season that they had. But who knows, maybe this is just a slow burner to them at this minute and they'll probably pick it up. Hopefully they do, because I like to see Palace around the Premier League. I really do think they're a good side and have some decent players. But it just kind of seems like as well that they'll have to manage their expectations a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing how they approach this game tomorrow, because as a lot of people said, and you just said there, it is their only, well, one of the only, you know, you're talking maybe this and the FA Cup. FA Cup probably a more difficult, but their only opportunity to qualify for European football, depending on the draw. So I do expect them to go quite strong in this game. But then on the other side of it is they won't want to get injuries to Wharton. Eze, Wharton's just coming back to fitness. Munoz, they won't want to get injuries to those type of players, because they're so important for them, and they need to capitalise on the win from Sunday in getting a result against Wolves. And Wolves will obviously want to capitalise on their decent result against Brighton and get something. So they're not going to be any pushovers. So that's going to be interesting to see how they approach it. Before we finish up and get your predictions, boys, for tomorrow's game, make sure you smash that like button, everyone. Great to see more people joining us. Hit that subscribe button as well. Help us on the road to 5K. I'm actually conscious as well, we haven't done a members only prize, so we are going to do one of them very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But if you do want to become a member, click the link that's pinned at the top of the chat, or click the join button. Or if you do want to donate to the channel, any super chats as well, click the $sign. They are all hugely, hugely appreciated. We love the support and really appreciate your support. It's just $1.99 to become a member, less than a third of a cost of a pint, and you can become an official Villa Park Pod follower. So get your predictions in for tomorrow's game, everyone. Hopefully it's going to be a positive result. I really do want to see us do well in a cup. I really do. I know we got to the final in 2020, but that was, you know, Man City. Even though we gave a good account of ourselves just before lockdown, I want to see us win a cup. I really, really, really do. I think it'd be so good for us to get some silverware, especially for Unai Emery and everything that goes with that. But George, I'll come to you first. What are you saying for tomorrow night's game? You were very positive in your prediction for the Bournemouth game. It's going to be a
I
little bit
know.
more cautious this time round.
Well, what did I say, didn't I? I said, oh, I feel like I'm letting myself down being too cautious. Go for a big win, and and it just proved, didn't it? That's why I'm cautious, because results like that happen. But yeah, I think this might be a bit of a scrappy one with Palace, and I'm going to go for just a ground out 1-0, sort of, just get the job done and get through. No frills.
Who's scoring?
Buendia.
Yeah, scoring in every round is Emi Buendia. Hopefully so. Michael says 1-1. So I don't know if he's put it later on if we win on penalties or not. Sire said 2-2 and then we win on penalties. Dickie says 0-0. Oh, bloody hell. I hope not. Villa wins 7-6 on penalties.
I don't need another heart attack.
I think you'd have to wake me up if it was 0-0. Bear in the Garden says pens. Flange said bring on the Villa Park under the lights. Aston Villa 100%. Stephen says 2-2. Olsen saving the winning penalty.
Imagine.
Stephen says 3-1 to Villa. Barkley, Duran, and Buendia. CC says 2-0. Kay says 2-0 Ramsey and Buendia with a header. Flange is going for a 2-0 Villa win with a clean sheet. PJJ 2-0. Bailey gets his goal. Hopefully so. Rachel said she's with Michael with the 1-1. That will go that way, unfortunately. Yes, we'll see. Adamski says 4-1 Villa. We are due for a goal fest. That'll be good. Martin, what are you saying?
I'm going to go 3-1 Aston Villa, and I'm going to go with... I'm going to back it. I'm going to go with John Duran hat-trick.
Bloody hell. That'll be something special.
I'm going to back it.
Michael says 3-0. Duran scores 2 and Buendia. James said, think positive. We're not going anywhere. This is a new Villa. Absolutely. I'm going to go for a Villa win as well. And I'm going to say 2-1. Nice 2-1 win. Philogene, I'm going to say he's going to get a goal. And John Duran as well. He's got to score, hasn't he? Got to score. But yeah, nice 2-1 win for me. And who do you fancy in the next round? If I tell you who is... So Brentford won on penalties tonight. And Southampton won 3-2 tonight. So we've got Brighton against Liverpool, Man United against Leicester, Newcastle against Chelsea, Preston against Arsenal, and Tottenham against Man City. So who do you want to face in the next round, or does it really matter?
Southampton would be lovely.
Southampton.
Yeah, easiest one possible.
Preston to beat Arsenal at home, and then we get Preston.
Can't see it, mate.
Yeah, sure. No, League Cup can shock you sometimes, but at the same time, though, I think Arsenal's too strong for Preston. I can probably see Leicester beating Man United.
I do hope Chelsea get knocked out though, because they're going to be a good shout for both of them cups. Because the money they've spent and the depth they've got, I would say, other than City, they've probably got the strongest all-round squad.
Yeah, their B team's great.
There's some pretty strong games. Like if you look at Brighton, Liverpool, Spurs and City, and then you have Newcastle and Chelsea. That's potentially three big teams gone straight away.
Yeah,
massively. Yeah. Lots of people talk about Southampton. Rachel said it will be Man United away. Dickie said Villa v Man U. Sai says Southampton will do. CC, Southampton or Preston.
Yeah.
Adamski, let's get Preston. Yeah, everyone wants Preston. Michael said we want to face Man City and beat them. Stephen said Brighton, hopefully. Sai says Preston away is great for me. I live near Blackpool. Newcastle away would be great for me. So hopefully if Newcastle beat Chelsea, we get Newcastle away, because I'm missing the Boxing Day.
I wonder what it'd be like to do away games in fairness from where I'm from.
Oh yeah, well, mate, you getting from Ireland across to Birmingham's easier than me driving down to Villa Park from Newcastle. So come on.
Well, that's a you problem. That's not a me problem.
But yeah, hopefully we will get the win and we'll be into the quarterfinals, which will be absolutely fantastic. Boys, thanks very much. Great fans forum as usual, covering a multitude of topics. Thank you for everyone's comments in the chat as well. You guys really do make the show. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help us on the road to 5K. We'll be back tomorrow, myself, for my instant match reaction. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Hopefully after a victory and seeing us into the next round. And then we'll also be back later this week for Tottenham preview. I'll also get a Tottenham supporter on for In the Away End preview special. So loads of shows to come. And I'm still want to do a transfer talk show, just trying to find the time to round up all of the rumours. So yeah, stay tuned for the channel. Boys, thank you very much. Everyone, thank you for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.